Welcome back, audience. Chad is here. Somebody called me Chad in the comments. What's up with that all about? I mean, what does the Chad even mean? I can tell you this: if I am Chad, I gotta be a benevolent Chad, because I don't sleep with your wives or girlfriends. Okay, and as far as I know, that's the feature of the Chad, and I don't. God damn it! Not anymore. Let's just say. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. It's a joke. Relax. Anyway, what are we going to talk about today? Oh, I know. Well, good news that the cleanup is in progress, huh? In Mexico. Venezuela first, now Mexico. Okay. I always like to see the reduction of evil. So that's nice over there. Um, and yeah, in this video, I want to talk about what I haven't talked about yesterday, and I meant it. And it was about hidden rituals that can have a mind control effect on you. By the way, this is what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about this matrix mind control. Okay. I mean, it's not a secret that these studies and these research has been done about mind control, MK Ultra, and I don't know if you know this Montauk project. If you look into this, it goes really, really weird and deep and kind of explains a lot how within the matrix this idea of taking as much control as possible over people, that endeavor was sort of almost like automatically um, sort of sought for that control. Like, I don't know, it's just like this is what ego wants, right? And it's not, you can't blame any specific person. I mean, anybody can be stricken by the disease of ego and embark in those endeavors of ego, which is about the control. And again, I don't want to go into the details too much, but just check out this Montauk project if you want to see. If you thought that MK Ultra is bad, check out this one. Okay. Now, I also often talk about um, the lower drive orgasm. That's sexually or uh, like a this taboo breaking dark passion light, false light. You see, this is why sometimes you see some individuals that are have like some certain following, and they act like they are good, benevolent men, but they are trying to legitimize the polygamy as like a way of having a functional society, right? And trying to normalize, you know, I, that already that's already in the past. But you can see that these false schmucks come out and sort of reveal themselves as being false schmucks. And if a man is still driven by this lower drive orgasm, and this is why like you have these, multiple women that they need, or like the opposite where the multiple men in a woman. This is all ego Babylonian nonsense. I just want to say very clearly. It's still animalistic, whether you're acting like a chimp or a bonobo. You're still an animal. You're still functioning from the ego. A chimp would be like more of a um, patriarchal dysfunction, and bonobo is like matriarchal dysfunction, right? Because the mating, there's less violence in bonobos, but then there's no any kind of, you know, sacredness or sanctity. It's still animal, right? And you may argue, so well, it's better to have less violence and just have have that free sex, like that's better for the society. Okay. Now, I mean, you can make that argument that is better, but the value of the society, you're not gonna have the real sacredness in the society. That love, that um, bliss, that can only be experienced through, you know, the sacredness and whatever the sacred order is. Not that you try to create sacred order outside of you, it never works. It comes from within. This is why this alchemical path and living through the heart is very important. And so the society is still going to be void of love. There's going to be, or joy, there's going to be a lot of pleasure. And so the tension is going to be released through pleasure. But that is, like I said, my definition of evil. Any kind of pleasure that pacifies your ego is evil, you see. So, no, that's not the way. That's still not the holistic society. That's still Babylonian society. And just switching from this corrupt patriarchy to the corrupt matriarchy. And, just please don't paint this in any kind of light to say and argue that there's still a functional society. It's not a functional society. Um, it's just a bunch of hippies having orgies. That's what type of society this is. Having no order, no structure, no respect. And so yeah, so what you get in this society, okay, less violence, but still no love. Okay? And everything's in the matrix is done in a way to take you in the matrix. Meaning, what does that mean? It means you are functioning and seeking something outside of you to pacify that negative feeling, right? And to get out of this really fully, you got to alchemize those lust drives. And like I always, not always, but sometimes mention, the the contentment and bliss that you feel in the background of your being surpasses the value of having a short-term release of pleasure. Okay, that is first. And even if you're interacting with your partner, that must be first. No actual sex can take place if there's no love first. It's just not worth it, right? Like, I mean, people need to get to this point and realize that this is incomparable, that this is it, that compassion and love is just something that what society must be based on, not open relationships, not this. You know, it is addictive, but like, so is sacrificial rituals, you see, and you just really don't want to go that way because ego always spirals into the darkest place. There's, if you cannot spiral it further, then there's going to be a crash, right? And like I'm saying, that there's absolutely no reason to live life like that. And I'm saying, as someone who's been battling for the last, I don't know, 3 years, I suppose, with this thing. And only now I'm getting to the point where this is being stabilized within me. Lately, all these challenges, that what I call like alchemical challenges, fire, air, earth, I've been through. There was fire challenge, then there was water challenge. I talked about it last week. This week was the earth challenge, this pressure, and I'm breaking through them without failing. And my consciousness is already stabilizing in this way of life, and I have time and energy and opportunity to do so, and it's still very difficult, or was very difficult. And it's not that these challenges are any easier, it's just that I became really good at handling them. um, because every time it was failure, I learned from it, because so important for me, it was so important for me to learn from that, that one event was enough for me to not to have that type of failure again. And what I'm talking about is, again, this what I would call lower drive orgasm, that is lust based and not love based. Okay. And so if you're driven by that, then any kind of programming, and this Montauk project, you can also see how it all works. I've talked about this before. The dark passion has a power of limited power over the reality, and it manifests things. And so if you have that dark passion, or that orgasmic state that is sexually created, or created through breaking a taboo, it's a dark type of passion, dark orgasm, if you will. And in that state of consciousness, you create an image or thought that becomes stronger, uh, to be realized, right? Basically, you use this for manifestation. But I'm telling you very clearly, this is black magic. This is dark magic. And they've been doing these tests with kids, by the way, and they were creating that orgasmic state any kind of way, like artificially, and they were programming them whatever they wanted them to do. And then when there was a trigger, they would execute that. And that programming is so deep that it may be dormant for many years, and then when they trigger, they execute it. And those were successful. And man, I don't know if I want to believe this, but they said that 90% of men in United States are compromised in this way. They've done many other weird stuff, and you gotta, I suppose, you just gotta listen to it. But um, they played with that manifestational power, and they've seen how it all works. And I think that they had an effect on the hive mind completely. And I don't know if they actually took 9 out of 10 kids and put them through this type of um, uh, programming research, and they put them back in the society and they don't remember, or that they just been affected. 9 out of 10 people are affected. They don't have to have the direct participation, but because they are messing with the entire subconscious of, like, if you mess up subconscious with many people, others are almost like adopted. If you belong to the same hive mind, you get the same ideas and the same programming that someone else may have had, right? So this is why this idea that was, I think it's kind of going away based on the way I feel. But there was this open relationship thing, uh, another some radical monogamies, and whatever you call it. It's just another way to frame what's been always going on in the Babylonian societies. Okay, but there's nothing new. It's just still like an excuse. Okay. Like I said, in one point in my life, I thought, like, well, yeah, bonobos are better than chimps. There is less violence. You better make love than war. Actually, the correct way of saying is it's better to have sex than fight. Better to have free sex than violence, I suppose, right? But is it really better? You know, depends how you measure it, because neither of those sides have love still. And when there's no love, there is not going to be cohesiveness in the community. You see, they get from each other what they want on the, on their needs, on the ego level, but there's no depth to it. So it is still not natural order. Okay. So, and they also said something, that the only way to get out is no longer be driven by this dark passion orgasm, because your mind will always going to seek that, and it's going to do whatever it takes to seek that. Okay, it's just like a programming. They did this research. There was like one occasion where a giraffe was delivering a baby giraffe, and got hit by a jeep and killed the mother giraffe. But the baby was there. The first thing that they saw, or it saw, was the jeep, and it imprinted, because babies still live in this bliss state, and whatever they see there, it imprints on them. And so then basically, when that giraffe grew up, it started mating with jeeps. See, that's just like a little glimpse of the programming power in that state. And the way you get out of this is when you, through the alchemy, you break through lust. When there's no more seeking that dark passion, because you have that light passion. And that light passion has superior authority over the reality. And this is the reason why they no longer work, because too many people broke out, and they're functioning on that higher frequency, higher vibration, bliss energy that is not sexual orgasm. And it's superior, and therefore it basically surpasses all of their black magic, and it doesn't work. And I hope nobody's watching. I hope nobody is watching this video or actually doing this. But if you question why these things don't no longer work, the sacrificial things and all that dark passion thing, why it no longer works, it's because of this. It's because too many people have alchemized and got out of it, and have a superior light over the reality. Okay. And that's it. And you see, it's kind of invisible, because even if I'm telling you to do it now, like, it's not going to change anything, right? Because who's going to actually see why it's not working, right? Because they all just see what's happening in the matrix. They cannot see what's happening outside. So because they cannot see what's happening outside the matrix, they cannot see why the matrix is crumbling. Okay. And that's why they're scared. And by the way, every time they do the rituals, the alchemical challenge appears for you. You alchemize again, you take the light back, you are in bliss and peace, and all the power has been taken away from it. Okay. And by the way, like, we're all in the same pond, as I say it, right? I don't have to, like I said, yesterday I've already felt that earth, that pressure that I've already been alchemizing, and I knew that something's going on, right? Like, I don't know what's going on, but I knew that something's going on. Every time there's a chemical process, there's some process that's been going on in the world. And my job is to don't skip any of those and alchemize them all. That's my job. This is what I've learned to this is like that. This is the priority number one in my life. This is what I call guarding your golden throne. Um, and anyway, so there. Sorry about the pause, buffering. Anyway, I think that might be it. That's how you get your control back, if you will. And you no longer can be mind controlled. Okay? There's a lot of weird stuff when you look at it. Um, and, like I said, I've made a decision. To me, that's the most important thing. I mean, when everything is outside of you, externally is so unstable and so changing, and just there's no uh, stability there. I mean, you change because you start realizing that whatever you need is sort of like our internal states, and even the the physical reality. What it is just feelings, images, uh, sensations. That's what all it is, and you don't even you have to understand that you don't depend on the physical reality to even have that experience of physical reality. This is what we call astral reality. Except in the astral reality, you are completely in control of what's happening. And I made the video about this, that this is what you want to prefer to live. Causal reality is your alchemical and theurgical work. Magic is imagination, and lucid dreaming, out of body experience. Which, by the way, you want to be out of the matrix when you start lucid dreaming and having out of body experience, because you're not if you're not out, if you don't do alchemy, then whatever you're going to see is still going to be part of the matrix and limited. And usually, what do the people do there? They seek out some sort of uh, what they can't have in the physical reality, but it's still an ego drive. Okay. Damn, like it's unbelievable. Like, anyway, I'm trying to say is that white bliss, passion is the way out. Anyway, peace, and I'll see you in the next one.